Hey there, I'm Sharon.
And I'm Desiree.
And this is the Other What podcast.
This is the Other What podcast.
The Other What. The Other What. The Other What. The Other What.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us back on the Other What podcast. Today we are going to do something super fun. Desiree and I actually got out on a school night.
Yes, we did.
Around the holidays. I dragged her out and we went to this awesome, I thought was awesome, but we will get the full review in a second, burlesque parody show called The Empire Strips Back. And if y'all haven't figured it out, I'm the big nerd between the two of us. And so for me, this was like every childhood sex fantasy come true for me.
Yeah.
It was my second time seeing it, was with Desiree. So the first time I saw it, I went with a friend of mine who had done burlesque in Atlanta way back in the day. And I think I probably I had a lot of people pat me on the back going, it's going to be okay. I was so excited and screaming and yelling. And I think they thought I was going to have a seizure on the floor when I saw the tauntaun come out. It was insane. And so today in the podcast, we're going to talk about The Empire Strips Back. It's playing in Atlanta for only a couple more weeks, but it travels all around the world. So I would recommend seeing it. It's hilarious. And then what we're going to do too is we're going to talk about what it was like for strip clubs and for lesbians, back when Desiree and I were there in the 2000s.
Young dykes.
The young dykes, exactly. And just and some of the nuances of it too, right? Being queer, strip clubs in Atlanta in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be a really fun episode because we're going to talk about naked ladies really the whole time.
Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love that?
Who doesn't love that? So let me just give everybody a quick synopsis on this Empire Strips Back thing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping most of our listeners know all about Star Wars. I'm not going to explain that, but just imagine if you took the Star Wars world and you replaced some of the major characters with hot naked women like C-3PO or Darth Vader. And I'm telling you, when they revealed Darth Vader to be a hot blonde, I just kind of melted into a
She
pool of
lost
goo.
it.
I lost it. I completely lost it. So, for me, it was a little crazy. So, anyways, and I think that, and that was really what it is. It was a 2-hour show. And when we think burlesque, I think that, and Desiree is going to give her 2 cents on this because she's seen a lot more
yes. I may have gone to Paris and seen it.
Yeah,
to
maybe.
the Crazy Horse in Paris. I don't want to brag though.
You're allowed to brag. You're on your own podcast. You know this, right?
Oh, that's right.
That's right. So I think the way that they did this, it was more of a parody instead of true burlesque. And I think that was the difference. And I think that's, what we're going to talk about a little bit. And because it was more of a dance almost, doing a Star Wars parody. But they would strip, but they wouldn't actually dance around naked on stage. And I think that was disappointing for you, right?
I was disappointed, yes. I was.
I think there were other disappointments, but we'll get there in a second. So anyways, there were different scenes from Star Wars that they took, and then they would, replace C-3PO. Instead of it being a dude, it was a woman, or I don't know, that tauntaun on Hoth thing made me just want to, oh my God, I was about to jump out of my skin. There was just a lot of really funny things. And there were some dude things too. They did a thing with Han Solo, which was really hilarious. And Chewbacca, the dude things. We had to get to the dude things to get more to the naked ladies. Lots of naked ladies. And I don't know. I thought the music was pretty good. And it was just an enjoyable night.
Yeah.
Considering that you were in Atlanta and really burlesque used to be such a big thing back when we were the young dykes, right, Desiree? And I just don't see it anymore in Atlanta. It was actually really refreshing to go to something like this, I think, for both of us.
They had a nice audience too. Well, you went 2 nights.
I went
the
2
night
nights,
that you and I went, there was a group of about 8 of us, I think, that went.
Yeah.
And the audience was pretty diverse, not just in race, but age as well.
Yeah, I did. I thought that was cool too. Like, I think somebody brought their mom. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa, go progressive mom.
Well,
you
we
know?
didn't see any nipples, so.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think
I
that's
guess
why
it
we
was.
were. That's another reason Desiree was really disappointed. No nipple action. Where are the boobs? We need more boobs.
We didn't even see any man's nipples. Like, I got no nipple coverage. I got none.
I mean, Han Solo took off his shirt. I mean, that didn't count. Okay, all right. So
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So I think for me, like the first time I went, it was I didn't know what to expect, and I think that's why I went super crazy nuts. And then also I was with my friend Karina, who I've seen do burlesque, and so me and her were just like we weren't focusing on anything but like the costumes and the way that they were dancing on stage and things like that. What I think is interesting is when I went with you guys the second time, you guys were looking at it from a totally different perspective, and I would love to hear, Desiree, that perspective from you. And then we can kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really like the venue that it was held at. It's an area of the city that used to not have really much going on. So even though it was just in this one place, there was still like a couple little eateries around. You can get a drink. They had pretty decent bartenders. And then when you walk in, there was like 2 or 3 levels of where you could kind of sit, kind of like a stadium seating with folding chairs, but it was comfortable. Everybody could see, which was nice. Like no matter where you sat, you could still see the stage. And I really didn't know what to expect other than you lost your fucking mind when you were telling me about it. You were like, Desiree, you've got to go. You said you were hoarse.
Yeah, we thought we were going to lose our voices. Me and my friend, we literally like, we're not going to have a voice tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're screaming so much. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and
totally.
I wanted that experience as well, but I did not get the screams. As a character on a TV show said, he didn't scrimp as much as he wanted to.
So tell us why. Like why? Like Sharon's geeky nerdy reaction was very different than Desiree's reaction. So like
it was So for me, I like the costumes. I thought the costumes were well done. I am just into a different body shape. And I think for me, they were just a little too thin and a little too light. And I say light, and I didn't say white, because most of them, if you have a program that tells you like who the dancers are were women of color. Just a little lighter than I'm usually used to enjoying when I watch a performance. I think that's the nicest way I can say that.
I think that it makes a lot of sense. Like it was interesting that you guys you brought up the diversity thing, and for me, I didn't even think about it the first time I went until you guys mentioned it. And I was like, oh yeah. And what we realized too is that they switched out the dancers.
Right.
So like there was one black woman. She wasn't like super dark skin, but she was on the stage. She did a segment, the car washing segment one, and that was actually
that had so much potential to be sexy.
Yeah, and I mean she had a bigger booty and everything, and I think that was the first time I went, but the second time I went with you guys, it was a skinny white girl doing it, and I was like, what's going on? This makes no sense.
I wanted it to be sexier, and I think that I also went in thinking it's going to be a parody, but I still was expecting the sexiness that I needed for a burlesque show, and I wasn't getting the sexiness that I needed. And even though all of these women, according to the program, are like some type of trained dancer and has been doing a ballet or something somewhere, and that's great, I just wasn't getting what I needed in order to feel like, yes, like when I go to a burlesque show, I want to be like super turned on and feel like very sexy just being there and watching it. I want to feel like the room needs to feel very sexy to me. When I didn't get that feel, it felt, even though the setup was nice, it kind of just felt like a tent
It was more,
without the sex
yeah,
appeal.
like almost like a recital. It was just a show.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was just a
yeah.
show. It wasn't like,
It was fun though.
it was totally fun.
Yeah.
Tell me about, like, so you did go, you dropped the hint about you going to Paris
Yes.
and going to, that's a very famous
Totally.
burlesque place to go.
Yes.
Tell me about, 'cause I've never been. Tell me about
Okay.
like how that place was, what were the major differences between that and then what we saw at Empire
Okay.
Strips Back?
So when I went to Paris, I went to the Crazy Horse, which is a supposedly sexier, more risque show than like the Moulin Rouge. And the Crazy Horse is actually what inspired Beyonce's video for Partition. So, I mean, Beyonce loves it. It's got to be sexy. And it was like the room is very intimate, darkly lit, nice kind of velvet chairs and little small two-seater tables. Every seat you're in, great view of the stage, but it's compact. You're not spread out very far like we were for this show. Dim lighting the whole time, table service so you don't have to get up to go get your drinks. The dancers all were very choreographed. They were all white and all very skinny, but they had sex appeal. And I don't know how else to explain it other than they just had sex appeal. They had the thing. And lots of confidence, lots of nice, making eye contact with the audience, playing up to things,
Huh.
little small, like cute, sexy, like you can't see, well, you can see me, Sharon, but the audience can't,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
just
yeah.
sexy little shoulders
Like
and
sultry, even like
yes,
it was
thank
more
you.
sultry,
Seduce me.
right? That's what
I
they
was
were
being
doing.
seduced.
You were being
Yes.
seduced, and it was
Yes.
intimate, and it was almost like you were
Very.
getting like a private session with them,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like when we went to this Empire Strikes Back, it was literally like you were seeing a Cirque du Soleil show, and you were just one of
Yes.
100 other
Yes.
people who were also there. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the music was much different. I mean, it wasn't a parody show also. So when I was at the Crazy Horse, the music was very, very sexy. They have like a playlist that you could download. And I don't know, the atmosphere, everybody was like dressed up and looked very sexy. So the audience looked sexy. Like the whole thing was just everybody was sexy. And I
Mm.
really appreciate that. And that's how I feel like the shows used to be here in Atlanta. I've been to shows in California and other parts of Georgia and DC, New York, and the audience always looks sexy, but this audience was not looking sexy in Atlanta today when we went in December.
Okay, wait. And I want to just caveat that with like, one, it was a Star Wars parody. So it did feel like we were at Dragon Con
Yeah.
with some other people thrown in that didn't realize
Right.
that they had been dragged to Dragon Con, but it was a stripper Dragon Con. Anyways,
Right.
so yes. And so what I think is hilarious is that those are my people, Desiree. And I was like, oh, thank God the nerds are out. And they're
Yeah.
like, they came
On
out
a
of their
Wednesday.
basements on a
Yeah.
Wednesday. They came out of their basements and we're going to go watch Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. We're gonna talk about exactly what Desiree just mentioned about the history of just a lot of the clubs around Atlanta right after the break. I think it's gonna be super interesting, and we talk about when we were baby dykes and doing all this.
BRB.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
All right, everyone, welcome back. So, strip club culture in Atlanta in the late 90s, 2000s. Oh my gosh. What a magical time. I feel like back then was magical.
I just feel like all those 2000s were magical lesbian times for some reason.
Because I think we were kind of coming into our own, and it really was magical.
There's some magical stuff happening back then for sure.
Oh my gosh.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, when I think of like good strip clubs, I always think of strip clubs in Atlanta. And I've been to strip clubs in New York, the DC, Baltimore area, Miami, Texas, several cities in California. It doesn't get better than Atlanta. And especially in that like late 90s to early 2000s, for me personally, it was super exciting. And you feel like every music video back then had dancers that were dancers at a strip club in Atlanta. The music that came out during that time, every song you heard on the radio, especially like hip hop, rap, R&B, they had to, if it didn't pass the test in a strip club in Atlanta, it was not going to make any money. It wasn't going to air. So you had clubs like Magic City, which is still around. Club Nikki is no longer open. The Gentleman's Club, Strokers, Dollhouse 2, Dancers Elite, Follies, Pinups, like all these great clubs that just like transformed Atlanta culture. And most of my club experience was with and in Black strip clubs. I did frequent a couple of clubs, which I know, Sharon, you've also gone to, like Cheetah Lounge and Pink Pony. But just like, it's not the same. Like, I don't want somebody that's just like doing this, just like moving around like
Right,
this.
Desiree's
Or
literally like, she's just, for the listeners, she's literally just moving her body left and right. I sort of got you.
yeah.
Yeah, that whole white man's overbite's coming around soon. So
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
no, I don't want that. No,
No.
no, no, no.
I
You
would
want to,
like
you
I
want to be,
want you to have a slight mist of perspiration on your body when you're dancing. Like, I
well,
want to know that you are really dancing. That's why I'm there. Like, show me
got
that
it.
you're doing some work.
Got it.
Don't give me this. Like, I can do that. I can do this back to swaying. This isn't even a two-step. It's just like your lazy body moving right to left.
Well, okay, so the one club you didn't mention, which I think is interesting, is the Claremont. Like, I feel like that. Like, does that like how? Where does that lay in
Well,
in the?
Claremont is in its own thing, and I was going to mention
Mm.
that after we talked about these, because that's its
Oh,
own.
okay,
That is its
okay.
own beauty that needs its
Oh,
own amount of time.
okay, all right. We'll table that because I
Yeah,
think you're right, and I think
yeah,
something that you mentioned right before too was like you frequented a lot of the Black strip clubs, and
yes,
the places that I went to that you mentioned, I would consider the white strip clubs. Would you say that as
absolutely,
well? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
3,000%.
3,000%. The
You might have
cheetah
had
and the
like
pink pony.
a Persian girl dancing at the time there, or maybe one Black woman dancing, and that was it. But they still did this dumb ass dance of just this sway, maybe some hair tossing, not even a
I
sexy hair toss,
I
but like
always
a
loved going to strip clubs when they used the pole and they used it
yeah.
well.
Oh,
Like that was
yes,
sexy when they did the pole
yes.
dancing and you were like,
Pole dancing is
shit.
hard as fuck. I took a pole dancing class actually with some colleagues of mine back in the early 2000s. And the amount of upper body strength you need to do it and core strength, it is a
See,
beast.
that's what like when you say that you want to see sweat, I want to like I think that's like a skill, and like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's not just them just like dancing on stage in high heels. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, they're like doing acrobatics or something.
Oh, yeah.
What's funny for me, and you've been to lots of strip clubs,
I have.
which I
Yes.
appreciate.
Connoisseur.
I've only been to strip clubs I think in Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
I get really embarrassed at strip clubs. I know this. We need to go to a strip club together,
What?
Desiree. I don't know. It is the weirdest thing. I went to the Pink Pony for like a bachelor party or something, and I could not face the stage. And so what I
Ah.
did, I sat at the bar with my back to the bar and I just drank with the bartenders all night long.
Sharon, you could do that at any bar.
I know, but the ladies were like, and it was so weird. And then the other time I went was when I went to the Cheetah, and it was actually it was a lesbian, a women's night.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember like I was still uncomfortable, but my friends kept on buying lap dances, and then one of
Yeah.
them bought a lap dance for me, and you should have seen my face. I was so I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, the woman is rubbing on top of me in public. And I just kind of freaked out. I freaked out. So I mean, this is back in the 2000s, and I think I was still, remember how awkward I am around women? We talked about this before.
Yes,
I think that was me being like, I'm so fucking awkward around these really
Oh
pretty
my
ladies. Oh my
gosh.
God, the boobs are in my face. What do I do? What do
Yeah.
I do? So I would love to go back to a strip club now and be like,
Yes.
okay,
Now you're
I'm
cool
chill.
enough to
I'm
go.
cool. I
You're
can do
chill.
this. I can do this.
Yeah. You know what's funny for me, Sharon? When I'm at a strip club and I am getting a dance, I think because I've gone so much and I really like I told you, like the eye contact and the seduction, I am in very like, make eye contact with me when you're dancing for me. Like I want to see you. Like I have our body looks pretty much the same. I got all the same parts you got. That's not going to impress me. Like, let me see the faces you're making. Are you enjoying dancing for me? Are you just doing this because you're like, oh shit, it's my job. I have to work tonight. I didn't want to work tonight. Like, I want to know if you're enjoying it. So I'm very like much, what faces are they making? Are they looking bored? Are they looking off watching other people dance? Like, what are you doing while you're dancing?
Whoa. Okay, you just talking about that and having a woman dancing on top of you, look you directly in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That is freaking sexy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe that's why I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't look in their eyes, and then I look at the boobs, and I couldn't do that either. So I just looked away. That's what I
Yeah,
ended up
let's take a
doing.
field trip. We should go to either like Magic City or Body Tap. I don't know. You've probably never been to
I've
both.
never been. Yeah,
Body Tap has like one of the longest poles. I feel like it's like 20 feet high.
Oh, let's go! I totally
Um,
want to do that. I totally
or
want
is
to.
that Blue Flame? One of those two. I
So,
don't know if
Desiree,
Blue
let me
Flame is
ask you a
still open.
question because this has come
Yes.
up too when we were talking before. Like these are black strip clubs,
Yes.
right? You go in, if you're a white person or a non-black person, like I think some people feel like maybe not that they're not welcome, but they're going to be
hmm
getting looks and like it's going to be weird. What are your thoughts on that as from a race perspective?
I don't know because I'm not a non-black person.
Well, you know what I mean though. Have you
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I
like,
get looks too.
you
I
do?
think oh yeah, because first of all, like folks just when they view me, they don't realize I'm this hip, cool, fun person. They think I'm this maybe even conservative person. I know it's crazy because when you get
What?
to meet me, you're like,
That don't
no.
make no sense. No.
Right.
What?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a colleague recently was like, Desiree, I didn't realize how much fun you were. I was like, I have to tone it back when I'm at work. Like I have to code switch it. I think if you just go in feeling and acting like you belong there, nobody's going to bother you. You know, then sometimes you could even get more people to, more women to come dance with you because they're like, what is this person who doesn't look like maybe they should be here? Like, let's see what that person is all about. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
So
just
yeah,
going in confidently.
let's just put that on the calendar and then we can kind of do like a episode 2, right?
Listen, I'm
Like,
always available for that kind of
yeah,
field
okay,
trip.
we're doing that. Like, hands down. I haven't been to a strip club in forever, and I would
Yeah.
love to go to wherever the longest pole is in Atlanta. That would be amazing. Put that, like, check that box off that I never knew
Yeah.
I needed to check
And we could
off.
go to Cheetah. I haven't been to Cheetah probably since like
Is Cheetah
2002. It is
Cheetah's
because I
still
drive
there?
by it. Yeah, it's still
Oh
there.
man, I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was okay even back then. I wonder if they renovated it inside because it was always a little
It
skeezy.
looks
But
pretty sleazy and old outside still,
yeah,
but
Pink Pony
I
was
don't.
always kind of skeezy, sleazy. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I just
Yeah.
went because I went with all these
Yeah.
other dudes.
So you mentioned the Claremont Lounge.
Yes,
We have to talk about the Claremont Lounge.
yes, we do.
So the Claremont Lounge, for those that don't know, is a woman-owned and operated strip club in Atlanta. It opened back in, I think, 1965.
Wow.
And the majority of the dancers there are over 40, probably mostly in their 50s and 60s.
Mhm.
they may be retired strippers from other clubs, or they could just be like, hey, this is what we want to do now.
That's
And
amazing.
it is an experience. You never know what you're going to get. The crowd is so diverse. I mean, probably the most diverse group of people that I've ever seen at a strip club in Atlanta. It's almost like a dive bar on
Yes.
top of a strip club that
Yes.
also hosts like a karaoke night. You might get a live band playing. Like,
It's awesome. Yeah.
it is
It's amazing.
amazing.
I also think it's a place for like the hipsters to go slumming on the weekends.
Yeah.
So you get like this hipster crowd that thinks that they're so cool that they're the
Yeah.
Claremont, right? Yeah.
And you have
Totally.
like on their website, they have like all these pictures of people that have been there. So I'm just going to rattle off a few names: Anthony Bourdain, Jack Black, Morgan Freeman, Method Man, Key and Peele, Jason Momoa, Kevin Kline.
It's
Like,
amazing.
what a mix of people. And something else I realized and just never thought about until I started kind of doing a little research on this is now with the age of the internet, people leave reviews on strip clubs and like ask questions.
Oh my God.
Somebody wrote, "Is this a good place to celebrate my husband's 50th birthday?" And and someone responded emphatically with 4 yeses.
I love that one. I love that the Claremont Lounge is still around, right?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
they renovated the Claremont Hotel that's in front of it was a shithole back in
Oh,
the
it was
2000s.
probably like you can pay by the hour
Oh,
kind of place.
totally. Oh, so many drugs,
Yeah.
so much prostitution. I mean, Ponce was a mess, but
Yeah.
like, I'm so glad they made it to this fancy boutique hotel. I go eat at the fancy French restaurant in the
Yeah.
basement all the time now, and it's just a weird experience. And then the Claremont is still there, and yes, you're exactly right.
It's
It
an
is the weirdest
institution.
place.
They
It is an
can't shut
institution.
it down.
They can't. They
It would
can't.
be a
And
travesty.
Blondie is still there, and I follow her on Instagram, and
Yeah.
she's still posting stuff.
She's
And
got to be like 70s or 80s
it's
at this point.
easy. So for our listeners, if you don't know who Blondie is, she is an icon of Claremont Lounge,
Yes.
a black woman with she colors
Blonde
her hair
hair.
blonde,
Yeah.
and she motorboats you. She will motorboat you in her boobs, or
Yes.
she will like crush your empty beer can for you with her boobs. And
Yes.
it is one of those. And then she started doing poetry on the side. I've actually seen her do poetry at Mary's, like on a Tuesday night, and we were like, "Whoa, Blondie is really talented." I mean,
Yeah.
she's never going to be like a poet, but like, hey, good for her for doing this. And also, dang, the longevity she's had in this country in the city is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Country.
Atlanta is its own
It is
country.
its country. That's right. Well, I love, who did, I'll see if I can find this reel on Instagram. Lady Gaga actually went on Jimmy Fallon and actually mentioned Claremont Lounge. That she was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Claremont Lounge is like in Atlanta. It was so crazy. I went there, blah, blah, blah. So even Lady Gaga is like all about the Claremont, which is great. And
When I talk to people about Atlanta, that's one of the places I'm like, you must
yes.
go to the Claremont Lounge.
Yes.
I don't care who you are.
And I think it's interesting, right? Like it goes again back to that race thing. You have the black strip clubs, you got the
Mhm.
white strip clubs, but then the Claremont just kind of breaks apart all of those racial barriers, all of the socioeconomic, you got
Oh, yeah.
the like Emory hipsters, and then you've got the like, the people from like the suburbs who are slumming it for the weekend, and then you've got
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's just really cool that like that it's still like that.
Yeah.
And anyways, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say also one of the things in regards to like race and strip clubs, when I was working for Girls in the Night, every party pretty much we always had dancers, and they would be dancers from strip clubs that were in, local strip clubs in Atlanta. But if I went to the couple of times I would go to like a majority white club for even like a pride event, not the same type of atmosphere. There might be like a go-go boy dancer, but not anything like super sexy like how we would have for Girls in the Night. And that was just before like Club Jaguars, which was off of West Peachtree and maybe 15th, 16th Street, 17th Street. And it's not there anymore, but that was one of the places that Girls of the Night would throw parties on the weekends. And even like every weekend, you can guarantee we would still have like 2 or 3 dancers from other strip clubs that were from a strip club that would come in and put on a show. And it might just be 1 or 2 songs, but you best believe we always had dancers. That's just what the audience liked.
That's so interesting. What do you think is the difference? Like, is it this like like you guys were so much more comfortable with your sexuality and like and maybe and embracing that culture versus the white culture that maybe was a little bit more conservative? I don't know. I'm totally guessing. I have no idea.
I don't know because even in like thinking of going out for like Black Gay Pride in DC or Baltimore or LA, there would still be dancers. There was always like some type of strip show, not go-go dancers, but like actual strippers.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. So
we'd have to research that. I'm not sure why.
I don't know either. Cause when so part of the other subculture that I participated in back in when I was in college was the S&M scene actually. And so there was well, not even the Eagle.
Okay.
It's called the Chamber. And
do
you remember going to the Chamber back in the day? Okay.
I did.
So we would do the masquerade for 80s night on like a Wednesday, and then we'd do like the goth night at the Chamber on Thursdays is what we would do. And it was a primarily white crowd that was there at the Chamber, but it was S&M and bondage, and like they would have go-go dancers, like you said, and mostly they didn't really have a lot of women. They had mostly boys in like skimpy little leather outfits, and then they would do shows. And I loved the shows, and I did not. I was not embarrassed watching those shows, Desiree. Not like I was at the strip clubs.
Well, you were also looking at men too, so
well, but there were women. Like there was a. I think the woman, there was a woman that owned the Chamber because she would actually do some of the shows on stage. And like one of the ones that it's burned in my brain is this woman, and again, a skinny white woman, tied up, her hands above her head. And she's got one of those gas masks on, like from the 1950s or something. And then she's like just naked except for metal underwear.
Oh, okay.
And then the mistress comes out, and she's got one of those metal grinder machines, like the handheld things that you get at Home Depot. And holy shit, sparks literally go flying.
I've seen that show.
Yes, and it is freaking sexy. And they had a shower room there and all that kind of stuff. I never participated, obviously. I just would go dancing, quote unquote.
It's okay
dancing.
If you did.
Yeah,
we don't judge
but
here.
I never did. I was not. Even if it was a safe space, I just never did it. But
I know what to get you for your birthday.
I know, right? Totally. I was a total voyeur. I was like, can I watch? Yeah. Wow, this is fun. So that's what I ended up doing. But what's interesting is that it was a white crowd. I don't remember a lot of Black people mingling in the bondage scene back in the day. So even though I went to a subculture, the subculture was even white.
Yeah.
That I hung out
I guess
with.
we need to put that on our list of field trips.
No, to go to a bondage club. I don't even know where one is in Atlanta. Yeah, research R&D. This is all R&D purposes only. Yeah. No. Anyways, I thought it's really cool, and like it's really interesting. I think one of the things that I keep thinking about is like is this whole racial, like almost segregation. It's not even just in the strip clubs, it's also in the gay bars, and we'll probably do an episode on that too, where it's like, male gay bars Black, right? Male gay bars white, and it keeps on going like that. Even things like Second Friday, it's a very white it's a white thing that happens every month. It's like there are some Black people that go. It's a white thing. It is. I took Desiree for the first time back in like September. Remember, Desiree, and you were like, "Yeah, we're going to my sister's room. I'll see y'all later." Bye.
And I need some color.
I know. I need a little diversity.
Too blinding in here for me.
where I'm like, oh my God, Darth Vader is a white hot blonde. All of my dreams have come
Right.
true.
You know what? It was another club. It wasn't a gay club, but it still felt kind of gay. MJQ. Did you ever go to
I
MJQ?
loved MJQ.
Now
That
that
was
was a club that was super diverse.
super diverse. I would do
Yeah.
dance offs with like black guys all the
Yeah.
time in the middle of the dance floor. So much freaking fun. I love that place. They closed it down and now it's an underground, and I just don't understand how underground is really going to be the entertainment district.
Is there
Weird.
parking over there?
I don't know. That's another field trip. I know nothing.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
the
I thought it
Masquerade's
was
supposed to
still
be
on
there.
Ponce.
MJQ. They closed it down.
Oh my
Closed
goodness.
it down. But now Ponce is turning into like hipster, fancy central. So
Mm-hmm.
they're moving a lot of like cool places. But the beauty of MJQ is that it was in the underground parking garage, and it was just, like,
Yes.
so awesome. I agree. That was a great dance space. Really,
Oh my
really
gosh.
good.
I
So good.
used to run into one of my cousins there randomly all the time. I would never see her any other time. And we both lived in Atlanta, but I can guarantee you on a Saturday night, I would run into her there.
I'm sure I saw you there, like dimly
Probably.
lit. Like we probably like ran into each other because I was
Oh
there
my
a
gosh.
lot.
Maybe they have some security cameras so you could do some facial recognition and find out how many times you and I have been in the same place
And
from like
never.
96 to 2003 in Atlanta.
That's hilarious. It's too funny. Oh man. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Like this was a really fun episode for us just cuz
Yeah.
we like talking about naked ladies and boobs, and why
Who
not,
doesn't?
right?
Yeah, I
And
love them.
I think that there's something so unique about Atlanta and the strip scene and things like the Claremont Lounge that don't exist anywhere in the world. So
Yes.
thank God for Atlanta for that. Woo!
Amen. And if you don't live in Atlanta, please come and visit our city and go to some of these places that we talk about. They're so much fun. You're going to have a great time.
Totally.
And then send us a message on our website, theotherwhat.com. Tell us, what you think about them, or if there are places that you like from past or present, share those with us.
Yeah, totally. And if there's other places like the Claremont that maybe we don't even know about, we'd love to hear about them because
Oh
who
gosh,
knows
yeah.
what cities they're in, and we can go check them out. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well,
Well,
thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
bye-bye. Love ya.
For more The Other What, check out our other episodes. You can find those at theotherwhat.com. Have comments, thoughts, or reactions to something we said? Be sure to subscribe and comment. The Other What is a production of 559 Labs. The Other What is hosted by Sharon Go and Désirée Jamerson. This episode was produced and edited by Andrew Marconi. Music by Alexei Anisimov. It was recorded in Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for listening, and be sure to tune in next time.